Once upon a time, there was a sweet little girl who was loved by everybody, but she was especially dear to her grandmother, who was always doing nice things for her. Once she made her a little red velvet cloak. She liked it so much she would never wear anything else, and so she got the name of Red Riding Hood. One day her mother said to her, "Come here, dear, and take this cake to grandmother. She is sick in bed, and it will do her good. Go quickly, and don't dawdle on the way. And don't run, for you might trip and squish the cake." Now her grandmother lived in the woods, a good half-hour from the village. Once in the woods, she met a wolf. Red Riding Hood didn't know how wicked wolves were, so she wasn't afraid. "Good morning, Red Riding Hood," he said. "Good morning, Wolf," she answered. "Where are you going so early, Red Riding Hood?" "To my grandmother. She's sick, and I'm taking her this cake to make her feel better." "Where does she live?" asked the wolf slyly. "Oh, a good quarter of an hour further into the woods. Her house stands under 3 big oak trees. You've probably seen it," said Red Riding Hood. The wolf thought, "This tender little creature will make a good meal. I must be smart and snap them both up." So he walked along with Red Riding Hood for a while. Then he said, "Look at the pretty flowers. Don't you think it would be nice to gather a bouquet for your grandmother?" The little girl thought it was a marvelous suggestion. So she left the path and started to gather a lovely bunch of flowers. In the meantime, the wolf went straight to the grandmother's cottage and knocked at the door. "Who is there?" The wolf answered, "It is I, Red Riding Hood, bringing you a cake. Open the door." "Lift the handle," called out the old woman. "I'm too weak to get up." The wolf lifted the handle, and the door sprang open. He ran straight in and up to the bed and gobbled up the poor old woman. Then he put on her nightgown and cap, got into bed, and drew the curtains. Red Riding Hood soon arrived with the cake and her flowers, and was surprised to find the door open. She thought this very strange, so she called out, "Good morning, grandmother." No answer. Then she went up to the bed and pulled back the curtain. There lay her grandmother, with a cap down over her face, looking very odd. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have," she said. "The better to hear you with, my dear." "Well, grandmother, what big eyes you have." "The better to see you with, my dear." "What big hands you have, grandmother." "The better to hold you with, my dear." Then she said, "But grandmother, what big teeth you have." "The better to eat you with, my dear." And with that the wolf leapt out of bed, grabbed Little Red Riding Hood and gobbled her up. Now that his stomach was full, the wolf went back to bed and soon fell fast asleep. A hunter passing by thought it very strange to hear loud snoring this time of day, and decided to investigate. So he went into the house, where he found the wolf fast asleep. He was about to raise his gun and shoot, when he heard strange, muffled noises coming from within the wolf's tummy. So he took a knife and quietly made a slit on its stomach. At first he saw a little red cloak, and soon the little girl sprang out. Next they helped her grandmother out, who was so weak she could hardly stand up. Then Red Riding Hood brought some big stones, which they put into the wolf, and the grandmother sewed him back up. Then the hunter yelled, "Aha! At last I've got you cornered." The wolf awoke with a start and bolted out of the house. He tripped and fell into the well, and with all the stones in him, he sank right to the bottom. Then Red Riding Hood and her grandmother and the hunter sat down and had tea and cake, and all was well with the world.